Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you how to sit your lead guitar tracks in the mix. We're going to be talking about balancing guitar today, but before we dive in, if you're ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process as a whole and really start to hone your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist. It's a simple PDF that will guide you through the entire mixing process, step by step, to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without any more hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is completely free, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and take a look at balancing this lead guitar track. Now with this song here, I have to play as few of the parts as possible to make sure we don't get copyrighted and it gets taken down because it is a cover song. So I'm going to try and just play the drums, bass, and the lead guitar here. So you can kind of see how everything fits together, and you can see what our lead guitar is doing without me having to play the melody line or the iconic acoustic guitar part for this song. But you could probably see what the name of the song is up there at the top, and bear that in mind as we listen through here. We'll make sure my limiter's on so you can hear everything. So here's our lead guitar part here. I want you to hear what it sounds like and what we have before I pull in the original part and talk about getting your lead guitar to sit right, sit properly in the mix and balance with the rest of your guitar. So here's our lead guitar part in the song. So you can hear during our verse section here and going into our chorus section, our lead guitar is providing riffs and those kind of things in between our vocal lines. You can see where our vocal lines are sitting. So kind of in between our vocal lines, fill in those little gaps in with riffs and licks to spice up the song a bit, keep it interesting. It's kind of ear candy that's sitting there in the background until it takes lead on the solo here at the end. We're going to talk about this section here in the middle, and we're going to do the same kind of technique here on the section at the end. So let me pull in the original guitar, and we can talk about getting something like this to sit inside the mix. So I'm going to play this one more time with the original guitar in. I want you to notice how things feel a little bit different. Our guitar is fighting to stay up front. So notice how some of these still sit perfectly. We got some that are pretty close in volume here. They kind of sit like they should, like they did in the finished track. But some of them, like this one here, they're much, much quieter and they aren't poking through as much. Now, the easy way to fix this would, of course, to throw a compressor on. Well, actually, we can use the one that's on there from the finished mix. And to just crank up your compressor to make your guitar to sit even. But I want you to notice what happens as we do this. So I'm going to play the track one more time, and we're going to get our compressor sitting right so these lines feel a little bit more even, and then we're going to talk about why this isn't the way to go. So I've compressed the louder lines, the lines that stick out a little bit better, that are already balanced pretty well. Those are getting compressed about 5 dB, 3 to 5 dB, and then our quieter lines aren't getting compressed very much at all. But you'll notice pushing it harder into our compressor like this makes it feel more aggressive, and we don't want to go more aggressive with this. It's an acoustic guitar lead line, so it's got a nice aggression and a nice punch to it already. We're getting that attack from the string noise from it being an acoustic guitar like that. They're heavier strings, they're going to give more attack. We don't want to push it harder into a compressor and emphasize that attack. Otherwise, you can hear it's getting kind of pokey, it's getting kind of edgy sounding. Things are coming out with too much attack, too much transient presence. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do, let me pull the original compressor back over here, is we want to use automation going into our compressor. So we can compress everything evenly to keep our track up front and maybe impart a little bit of aggression, maybe 1 to 3 dB compression on these louder lines. But you want to use automation or gain or input gain to get your track sitting right. So there's two ways you can do this. You can do it with automation, which would be post-processing, or you can do it pre-processing and push into your processing. I like to do it pre-processing and push into the processing. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take these couple lines here and we're going to go through and make them sit a little bit more even and have them balance a little bit better. What we're going to do right off the bat with these lines is I'm going to pull everything up. So highlight the section, Alt-X to cut it, and then I'm going to pull everything up just a little bit. What I want to go for is I want the loud lines to kind of stay where they are, but I want the quieter lines to be more even with our louder lines. So let's take a look at a couple of our loud lines and see where they're sitting on our meter volume-wise. So we're sitting right here a little bit below our -12. That's great. That's something we can shoot for there. I'm going to level this out to about 1 dB increase overall, and then we're going to go in line by line and make sure all of these are sitting around that area. So we can keep our meter up down here. Just zoom in a little bit, so I've put it to large here, and we're going to go line by line and make sure all of these are sitting a little bit closer to that -12 area. That way, each of these lines are pushing evenly into our compressor, and then afterwards we can do any kind of automation to balance our lines with the rest of the track. But I want everything to be pushing evenly into my processing. That way the compressor isn't chomping down on some lines and not compressing any other lines. That's going to change your tone. The more compression you add, the more you're going to get a little bit more low mid energy. It's going to make your highs feel a little bit more pokey, a little bit more attack oriented. So you want to push evenly into your compressor with a lead line like this, especially on acoustic guitar. Let's go through here line by line, just pushing them a little bit closer to that -12 area. So we've done our first little passage there. Let's go back and take one more listen. Watch our meter. Everything's sitting a little bit closer to this -12 range. We're not going too far. We're still preserving some of the dynamics from the actual player, from the performance. We're not neutering or flattening our performance, just making it a little bit more even to push into our EQ and into our compression here to keep our tone more consistent throughout the lead line. So now we can take a look at our compressor here and see what we have after we've leveled things. Now looking at our compressor, we're only doing 1.5 to 3 dB compression max, and our guitar sounds even across the board. So we don't have to squash any lines or make anything really attack oriented by pushing really hard into a compressor like this. Everything's even from the start, and we can use the compressor to add vibe and to add character and to balance things a little bit. So our compressor is working in a different way rather than solely to even out the sound. So it's not working so heavy or so hard in one area. Let's do one more section of the guitar here. This one's a little bit more obvious visually. We can see where it dips down here and then kind of makes its way back up towards the end here. So let's listen through this section here. So if you notice right here in the middle, our player kind of leans back a little bit, right? Play a little softer. That's natural. That's good performance there. We're in the middle of our chorus section, so the lead guitar doesn't need to be as prominent. So they play their lead riff here, and then they ease back into the groove of sitting in the background and playing the riffs when need be. We don't want the performance, we don't want our track to be that uneven, so we're going to pull these sections up, even out the performance a little bit volume-wise, and then we can use automation on the back end to lower verse sections, lower chorus sections, but keep our guitar even across the board. So same thing we're going to do with this section, just shoot for around or just below that -12 area here. So our hits are a little bit more even. Our strums are a little bit more even. There's one in the middle that's a little bit louder than everything else. We can bring everything up just a touch more. We can see we get a little bit louder afterwards. I'm going to bump it up one more here, get us a little bit closer. Our one hit's a little bit loud, so what we can do is we can just come in here on that one hit. Pull that one hit back a little bit. Maybe not 3 dB, maybe a dB back. Yeah. Now let's listen to our beginning passage here coming into this final chorus. So brief mention of a couple of the shortcuts I'm using. One of them here, the plus sign, is what I use. I have it written in as a custom shortcut in Studio One. It bumps up sound by 3 dB. So that's what you saw me do with this section. When I just clicked on it, I hit the plus sign and it bumped up just the gain by 3 dB. Obviously, if you don't have that custom shortcut in, just grab your gain here and you can pull it up or down to lower the volume. Or you can do it here in your inspector window. So if you click on your track and then you go over to your inspector window, you'll see your gain section down here, and you can raise and lower that either with scroll or by typing in the volume that you want, and that'll change the volume of your track on the way into your fader here. So that's more like input gain, but obviously you can't change any kind of clipping or anything that you got on the front end when you were recording. So going through like this is gonna get you a more even, a more balanced sound, tone-wise and volume-wise on your lead guitar before you push into your processing and before you put it in your track. So you can get your lead guitar sitting evenly throughout your track, make sure all your lines are spotted, all your lines have their highlight, anything that's coming up in between vocal lines, everything's sitting evenly, balanced, and then you can tuck it in your track, and then at the end point, then you can do overall automation. So if we want to come in here and create an automation lane for this volume-wise, maybe when we want to pull our chorus down 3 dB, right? So when he's playing chorus, or if he's playing verse, we can pull it down 3 dB to make sure our lead guitar isn't so far out front or fighting with our vocal. And then when they launch into the lead guitar section here at the end, we can keep it bumped up to normal volume, so everything will jump back up, but all our lines will still be even, everything will be heard, we're not going to miss any licks or any riffs as our guitar player plays their solo and plays their lead lines. I hope that was helpful for you. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and dial in your workflow as an engineer, I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.